All right, guys, here we are for another Zoom review. Today we're talking about Kull the Conqueror. We have a special guest with us, Eva Ceja. You may know her from her upcoming movie, Aquarium of the Dead. Eva, say hi. Tell the people where they can find you.
Hello. You can find me at my Instagram or Twitter, which is just at Eva Ceja, Eva Ceja. Really simple.
That's easy to remember.
Not clever at all.
I think it's better to not be clever when it comes to names. It is your name. They find you there. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're blessed to have a name that is simple enough to have your actual name on there that other people don't have. Lee gets screwed until recently.
You don't have to be the real whatever or whatever TV or something. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. All right, so let's start talking about Kull the Conqueror.
Finally, the time has come.
So I hear you have seen this one before our review today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have any fond memories of this movie?
It's so crazy. I forgot how much fun it is, but like so bad. So it was fun to like rewatch it and be like, oh yeah, Universal put this out.
For sure. Kevin Sorbo, we're a big fan of Kevin Sorbo's work. I will quantify that by saying his work. Ever since Hercules, has been deep in the cut of things we look for to watch. This is one that I think I only really recalled the guitar, scoring of the movie.
Imposter! Traitor!
And of course Tia Carrere, but I think in my head I was like, I couldn't be sure if she was a good guy or a bad guy, and who's to say? We'll get into that in the spoiler section. Lee, you've seen this one before.
I was very confused. I was like, I know this movie, I know which one this is, they're making me watch this, and then Kevin Sorbo's voice starts, I'm like, oh no, this is a whole different movie, I have this mixed up with something, and then like 3 times throughout it I'm like, wait, is this, no, okay, that's a different movie, that's something else, wait a minute. So the whole time, but I'm sure that I saw this, but I did not have a concrete memory of it or like what it was. But no, it's bad and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun.
So I think we're all on the same footing here. But we did enjoy it. We know what it is and appreciate it for what it is. I would say if you're a fan of Kevin Sorbo, this is something to check out. If you're a fan of like Conan movies in genre, spirit, but not in necessarily quality, this is something for you to check out.
Yeah, it's like,
but I don't know if this is a great film for a non.
It's like Conan the Barbarian, the Legendary Journeys with Kevin Sorbo. It's like that, basically.
Well, when Schwarzenegger actually turned this down, this was going to be a Conan movie, and we got what we got, which is
really, I had no idea.
Yes, this was going to be the third movie.
Well,
and Kevin was like, I'm not going to be the douche who has to like replace Arnold for 3, make it something else. And they were like, all right, they like, this character, you, Kull, and they switched it out for him. So yeah.
And the rest is history. All right, guys, so if you've seen it or don't care, false over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so now that we are in spoilers, I'm going to say, Eva, kick us off. Let us know your spoiler-filled thoughts of Kull.
Okay. So, first of all, there's something weird about his voice when he speaks compared to everybody else in the
He's
movie.
the only one mic'd. I'm joking.
We're just hearing the other characters through Kevin's mic.
Yeah,
That's in his contract. No, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know why, but he doesn't fit that movie at all. Like he doesn't fit the world, but everybody else seemed to. And who's the guy that kind of plays like the sheriff?
Oh,
Sheriff Nottingham,
Thomas
yes.
Ian Griffith. What's his name? Taliago or something like that.
His wig is so bad.
Caligaro.
His wig is so bad that it makes it amazing. Like it's like, all right, I got my like Farrah Fawcett, like, whatever going on. And like, I don't know, everything about it just seems rushed. Like the whole movie feels like this should have been a full season of a TV show or something. Every character gets no exposition, like, there's no exposition man saying, and then this happened, and that's why blah. There's like that tiny voiceover that really doesn't have anything to do with the actual movie itself. You open up in like an audition to join like the King's Army or something.
So, you want to be a soldier in my Dragon Legion?
I've passed all your tests.
No, not all.
And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, the intro is like Tolkien-esque, like Magashkra and Volknar, all these back and forth, all these. I like furiously take it. I have no idea who these people are. Oh my god, I have to take all these notes. Yeah, it's and then yeah, it dumps you right in. The pace is super fast, and at first I thought, oh, I'm being cheated. It's gonna be this horrible rush nightmare, and then we're gonna slow down later and just be boring and bad for like an hour. No, it just never stops until like the last 10 minutes or something. It's like. So like I actually like the pace being like a whole because it's a whole thing. It's this ridiculous compressed thing. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't that fast, it wouldn't have been as fun to watch.
You would have time to be like, that's not, what are we doing? That doesn't make any sense. Come on.
But what's weird is like if you think about this originally being intended to be like a blockbuster movie, like, and this was theatrically released, not to very big funds, but it was in the theaters, and it was originally designed to be like an Arnold vehicle. So you'd think the script would have had, I know they would have had to do rewrites to make it not an Arnold movie, but it just feels so weird where it does feel like a TV movie, and like they did seem to do everything they could to make him look like Hercules, because he's just like there shirtless, all hairy and doing his business, and that's the whole thing, like his gimmick. And I understand you hire Kevin Sorbo for that, and this is right off what Hercules ended the year before this. So like you have,
it's like right in the Hercules pocket. It's very weird. There's a scene where he gets like singed by fire, and like the next shot there's a little bit of smoke, and he's like, better take off my shirt, and he says, just take off his shirt. I'm like, oh god.
Like some of his fights were a little weird for me, like the fight in the dungeon with the guy with
against the beast man.
All of a sudden he's like chained, and then all of a sudden he's not chained anymore.
Are ugly.
Yeah.
And you're like not quite sure how he gets out. He
somehow got that guy to bite his chains, but it was a snap cut where they just didn't have the middle there. I was like, well, how's that gonna happen? Well, don't put the chain close to my teeth. You're gonna break my mouth. All right, well, we'll just we'll get it later. And they just
I feel like the studio was just like, shh, go.
Yeah.
And like that guy was fun. Like he had that weird look, but like they didn't really use a lot of that. You had a couple of prosthetic-y pieces, and like a person gets, their face is all mutilated and burned, and then healed, and then burned more, which is back to the original, appliance.
Okay, I'm sorry. I love that part so much too, because you have this like Jafar type guy whose entire purpose in the movie is to just continuously eat shit over and over and over again. It's so funny. At the end, he's like flinching, like, oh geez, no, and she's like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, it was a lot of that, yeah.
That guy is very ballsy though for what he is. So like he is the guy who best understands magic in their world, or at least in their part of the castle. And then when someone comes back who is of the magic that he has been studying, he seems to think he could step to her somehow. I'm like, you are reading tomes that this person like wrote. This is like the king god here. She's in the fire. What do you think you're gonna do?
My hand! My hand! Restore it! Make it whole again!
No! It will remind you who is master.
And of course he loses. Not even a remote attempt. Yeah, I guess. It just seemed like,
oh no, because that's how it caps off. He's like, you now face me. I'm a Jedi. I'm doing my thing. I'll do it, and then just instantly dies. I'm like, oh, you can't win anything. It's great.
I did like his like socketed sword, thing, and then it turning to a snake. I'm like, all right, they're using all their magical stuff right now.
Yeah, I really liked her character, by the way.
Yeah. Did you like her look?
It was a little weird just because it was very like she had contacts in and
that red wig or red dye job.
Yeah, obviously a wig, but like I kind of liked her way more than anybody else in the entire movie.
She's a better actor than most of the people in the movie.
Yeah,
so I think that will shine through.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, like I totally believed her in this movie, and I was like, okay, so it's kind of like watching it for her.
I just think it's weird they gave her that like, why make her slightly less recognizable when like she is like, the person where you're like, yes, come to see this person. And it wasn't like she had to be, she has to be related to this. They say it's my niece, but clearly there's no relation. But the people in the movie have no eyes because he also believes she was 19 years old. So whatever.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like,
the Red Witch.
Your bride is over 3,000 years old.
She said she was 19.
Yeah,
19 that was harder back then. Yeah, Kevin's 22 in this, so he doesn't realize it.
Zarita's character is weird. Say it again?
He wasn't 22. He was.
Oh no, God,
I'm joking. No.
Okay, I was like,
I'm joking that people back then, life treated them very difficultly, and it, you know, they wore the years on their faces more,
right.
or something.
Yeah.
Let's talk about life treating them difficultly for a minute, though. So he goes hot from his audition to where they go like, the king's massacring people. they run back on horseback.
Palace is in chaos. The king is slaughtering his heirs.
Noble blood. All over the palace floor.
He, I guess, followed because why not? I was in the middle of being insulted in my audition. I might as well go see what's happening.
Well, he's a horse of a man, and he now needs to prove himself, so he just runs after them with his
But him, like, you know, like just why is he there? Well, because the movie's called Kull, and he grabs like, you know, the king's arm and murders him. And like King's Guard is absolute dog shit. The first guy runs through, they're like this, he just throws it aside, he's like, let me in, and they're like, oh, I guess you're allowed in.
Take it! Here, take it!
And then a guy murders the king and no one does anything. He's random dude. That kind of stuff is just for convenience sake. A lot of things happen in this movie, and that was like the biggest one for me where I'm like, why is Kull here? It doesn't make sense.
Well, I was just like, well, first of all, they were trying to get him to become the king. Like, so they were like, I bet the writer was like, oh, this is a great idea. And
oh, I'm genius.
I'm a genius.
He'll kill the king and then be like, I'm king now, and no one will have a problem with that. Okay, one guy will, but that'll be a thing. It's fine later.
You could easily hand wave this and make it like much better if the guy auditioning the people is the king, and he kills the king during his trial and then becomes, you know, the king there. Like, why make this whole extra thing and make him crazy and not this and whatever? And like, everyone seems to think they're next in line to become king.
Hold! I am next in line, cousin.
There's like weird redhead guy and like sheriff
played by me, obviously. Yes.
For people who
I was like, Paisan.
next.
There should be a clear order of operations for who becomes king next. It's not guesswork.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be like, okay, the kingdom's in turmoil now. It's when you get this crazy upstart king in there. They'll cut him some more slack. It seems like by the end of the third day, though, he's already being assassinated. Everything's insane, right? It's like later that same afternoon. It's so tight in there. It's crazy.
They've invoked the dark arts instantly and so effectively. Like, but they made him seem like he was such a badass. I'm like, he barely he failed his audition. He did not like win that. But then it's like, he's not like normal men. I'm like, what do you mean? He lost to that guy who's like evil guy level 2 or 3. He's not even the top tier evil guy, and he lost to that guy. So like, why is this guy such a force to be reckoned with? When they're going to get the breath, she's like, oh, he'll be able to. Why do you think that? Because he's good in bed?
I kneel before you, Valka, to pray for your son Kull, whom I love. And though I am not pure, my love is strong.
Like, what is his level of like?
Everybody's just into him, man. They just think like, okay.
It seems like that's why I think it like that part wasn't rewritten from when it was Conan. It's like, oh yeah, Conan. Like, this is when he would have already been like king, like somewhere else, and then became king here and did all this jazz. Certain things didn't translate, and this would have been old Conan, which I think would have made sense for why he wouldn't have been as physical, like as they swab in Kev here. And not that Kev is not physical, he's clearly a strong athletic man, but when you like put him in a Conan-esque part, he looks kind of puny, especially when like he has his like chest piece on and his arms are hanging out and stuff. Like, I don't know, is it just me? Did he look?
Here's my theory, okay? So he's doing I love that you call it the audition, by the way. I don't know if that's the right
what
word,
else would that be called? He's auditioning to be in the army.
I want to be one of your dragon knights.
Yeah.
So he fights him. They are in like calf high water, ankle high water, right? So when Kevin does his like crouch maneuver, he makes a spishy splashy thing, and that's what like makes it fail, right? Moments later, he uses the same going low, stabbing up maneuver against the king, and and he kills him. So Talagaro is like, oh shit, that could have been me. He's really good. He just can't handle being in like a tiny amount of water. So I better watch it. And then
he's from Atlantis. He can't handle being in water.
It's ironic, right? Atlantis means something else here, and water is actually his weakness.
It seems
done.
That's a very good theory.
I think you've cracked it open.
Next, let's go. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's crack this whole thing wide open.
I didn't understand when he like fights. so he takes off the mask and he reveals himself that he's not dead anymore, right? Those soldiers, wouldn't they be like, oh, he's the king?
Yeah.
Moments earlier, he's walking through the crowd with no head covering at all. For moments, he throws it on just because he's like, oh yeah, it's a movie. But yeah, no one recognizes him at all. He was only king for like 3 days, and I feel like even if you were normally king, how often would people ever see you? Your subjects or whatever, because.
Yeah, but he like did that speech outside beforehand. And
it's true.
Him.
Yeah.
No, that was before he was covered in like camel piss, though. So like that changes your vision.
Something stinks. Well, it's not me.
The sheriff of Nottingham guy basically like gets, because one of the soldiers does kind of like bow,
one
his head
does
or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait, no, I guess we're supposed to. And the sheriff's like, get up, no, we're gonna kill this guy. And they're like, oh, okay, right.
Kull lives. Get it. I say to you, Kull is dead.
So now it's Game of Thrones. Now we're doing this guy dirty.
Yeah, the coup is on.
Yeah.
But it is strange. Even just the whole him being in like, the position with the helmet on and the ring or whatever. From the moment you see that, you're like, all right, well, that's a stunt double or something, because Kev's not going to lay there. That's why would they ever put that mask on him? And he never like wears that ever before. There's like opportunities where like we find out, I feel like almost after he's king, that like, the tiger, my sigil or whatever. And then like it's everywhere. And you're like, did they even know that?
Yeah, no, remember that girl, the slave.
Loretta.
Read his
Zarita.
card and showed the tiger. He's
yes.
like, oh, this was my
Yeah, he said it, but like casually there. It wasn't like he was like on like, mic and they're spreading that out to the world. Someone had to spend days or weeks crafting those things that are on the wall behind him that are big, like, tiger things, but they're there ready for his funeral. And didn't they say it would take 6 days? Like, I felt like it was a fake biblical type thing, like 6 days until she takes over the earth and brings hell upon us or whatever. On the 7th day should rest type of a situation.
6 days from that time, darkness will shroud the earth, and that Quran will rise again.
Who are you?
How long do you think it takes to sail across the world and come back? Under 6 days, presumably, and who knows how long he was passed out for when he was dead. It just seems like they fail on their own timeline.
And then the sheriff of Nottingham guy, Tia Carrera, blew him there just with her hellfire breath power.
Send my swift destruction across the sea.
So it just speeds him across there,
Well, I did think something like that was going to happen. It seemed like you would get a little like magic, fill the sails, but she was only able to throw fire down the stairs, it seems, which didn't do anything. It like maybe lit his boat on fire.
Sacred flame, protect us from the cold!
When he comes back, yeah.
I don't know.
On the way out, she like blows Talagaro's army away, like across the thing.
But how fast would that have been? It's not like he had a huge head start. They should have beat him there.
Apparently. Yeah.
I also didn't understand why the slave girl had to take her shirt off in order to invoke the spirit.
I think that was your classic TNA scene that would have been
I was like,
there but got cut out.
Yeah, I was like, This seems like, why would you still have pants on?
Yeah.
Oh, you think she should take her pants
off?
I understand where you're going with that. Okay. Yes.
Like if she needed to be like totally nude to do it like that, but it wasn't even. It was like a halfway.
That would have made sense. And
she's like, you don't think I'm worthy? Check these out. And the big head is like, oh, yeah, right. It's
awesome. Like how many boats were in that like cave? It seemed like some impossible to find thing, but every boat that ever went to find it did find it. They just all happened to die there. And there weren't a whole lot of bodies in that little frozen tundra area. So like, why didn't anyone just leave? Like, why are the boats still there? Am I alone in this?
Man, I just
I don't want to contradict everything you say, but they got wrecked, right? They're like trapped there. They're
Well,
broken.
I think
in the
that's
ice and
because
stuff.
they've been there for so many
Yeah.
years. They're probably just rocking back and forth and smashing on the rocks.
I
But
assume
like,
they weren't just living there for 30 years waiting to die. I assume like the boat crashed or broke or something.
I think what they're
Yeah.
like they're positing here is that they all
Yeah.
froze to death and everyone walked in one after another, just freezing. Because
Yeah.
our boy Lightfoot only gets 1 inch in before his face freezes.
Serena! Serena! Escalante!
But we have the dude where Kull grabs the axe from is like all the way at the thing. So maybe just because he's Viking Norris blood, he was able to get so far in.
He was thick and he was wearing more clothing. And
Wait,
he slowly.
Did he go before she invoked the thing or after? Because I think
Lightfoot
went before.
Yeah.
Lightfoot
The Indian,
went before, yeah.
The Indian in the cupboard runs after her to try to stop her and go and freezes up right there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a lot of things, and I think he was great in Indian in the Cupboard, but I
Yeah,
think
he's not
everything
good in
else,
this.
I'm like, are you all like? They're like, well, he won an award for that movie, so we'll put him in this movie. Like,
He's been in a few things, and when he talks, I'm like, I don't think you should keep talking. This is not going well.
it's weird because him and his sister's character don't look alike like at all, and looking alike is one thing, but they're different accents.
Escalante! The praying maiden!
They're from totally different places in the world. Like she's Swiss or something, or some sort of a European accent, and he has no accent whatsoever. And while I think they both do have background,
she wasn't very good.
She's not very good, but she's still working today, which I thought that she must be just this one-off. Oh, they got this girl that would do this part and I was like, oh no,
like
she's doing things. Okay.
And that's just how she talks, I think. And she's been in a few things where I've seen her, and that's just like
that's her
it's
voice,
like the Gal Gadot thing. That's just her accent.
Yeah, it wasn't
like,
a choice.
Yeah, they weren't like talk like this, right?
But weird. But that's what I'm like, okay, so those two, that casting in general is strange because seemingly she's the bigger character. She's the love interest. She ends up, towards the end of the movie, she's still alive. So like you'd think, okay, let's get someone that could work with this character who's from your foreign land or shares remote ability to do the accent you are doing. Because to say she's my sister, you're like, what? And when Kev goes, oh nice, or whatever he says,
Who is this priest to you?
My brother.
Brother. Good brother. Good.
when he finds out, everyone's like, oh yeah, well, that worked out conveniently. My sister, really?
He was like, whatever you say.
Exactly. That's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I thought their chemistry was really weird anyway from the beginning, because when he like slams her onto the bed, I was like, it was just really awkward.
Two was right. You are insolent.
But honest.
I do not take women against their will.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there was no like, you didn't actually see them having like a relationship, but it was kind of like forced.
It's odd in two respects. One, because she's a weird, very stiff actress, so like it will always be no chemistry because I don't think she had the range for chemistry. And then it's weird to have your lead, who you've already demonstrated to be not the best fighter, fail in trial of combat, then go and he's also rapey, and you're like, wait, what? We're 10 minutes in, like so much has happened and none of it good. Like, why would you do that to your character?
Well, but it's a weird combination of, he's a man of his time, right? He's just doing. But he's also not. He's also the kind of like Hercules, the modern progressive time traveler barbarian, where he's like, we must free the slaves and women have rights and that's consent and we shouldn't do that. But then at the end, it's not like, and now it's a democracy. He's like, no, I'm still king. By this axe I rule.
If you don't like my kingship, come take the throne.
I don't know. We're not doing any of that crap. I just mean we're not going to rape people left or right. I like that he wasn't raping the other 30 women and then just not raping her. And she was like, I can change him. I like him. He's good. Right.
We saw.
Yeah. Well, he said, I sleep alone. So I was like, okay, good. He's not actually just doing something weird with her. It's an overall maneuver. But yes, it's weird time period wise. And it's weird how far he took it to then be like, wait a minute. Are you not into this? I'm not into it anymore. Right. It was very strange.
Can we talk about Harvey Bernstein?
Yes, of course, forever.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, his name was Juba.
You haven't changed at all, my friend. Come, you bulging bag of muscle and hair. Come, talk to me.
It's good to see you, Juba.
Yeah, I totally forgot he was in this movie, and as soon as he showed up, I was like, oh my God. And then there's a moment where he's on the boat and they've got him captive, and he pulls the wood open. He breaks the wood to get free or whatever.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden Harvey's like, oh my God, don't hurt me.
Those ropes are strong.
Pity your ship isn't.
Kull, come on, it's me. You. No, I was joking. It was a joke. Come on. Oh boy, you should have seen your face.
But he's got like people to come hurt him, so I was confused why he like all of a sudden started like, oh, hey, yeah, call, like, sorry, buddy, you know, like that.
Hey, it's me, it's your pal. Come on,
Well, because Harvey read the script and he knows that none of the characters on the boat except one even have a name, so he's like, "We're probably fucked," and then he proceeds to to beat everybody. It is interesting there where seemingly those were the people he was on the ship as like a slave with, because the guys that were all in the hold know him. They're like, "Tiger, Tiger." I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Clear on, right our course. Sail north.
Hey, Tiger!
It's confused me too, but we must believe that he used to row for Juba, and the people held down below for whatever reason, maybe to prevent this from happening, are on Kull's side, and when the mutiny happens, he he can open that grate and let them out, and now he has his side to help, and they win, right?
Okay,
I love
that would confuse me. I was like, what is that?
It's very confusing.
And then when
something's like cut out.
Yeah, when she grabs the guy by the rope and
they didn't have that. That's not filmed properly at all. I'm like, oh, what friend of Kull is coming here? Is it the bird people? And then it's like, oh, it's her who is drowning or somehow, and threw the whole weight of the rope over.
Yeah, I was like, how did she, what? No.
It cuts to her in a cowboy hat in the water with a lasso, throwing it or something. Yes, it makes no sense.
No.
I liked him fighting that captain guy though, dude, because he keeps hitting him and the guy just no-sells it. Like, what are you trying to do to me? And keeps coming. So I liked that.
That's the Indiana Jones guy, right?
Oh, is it?
Is that the guy? Is that the tank guy who goes into the the blades?
I don't know.
Something about him. I'm like, that guy's familiar.
They were filming him like he was somebody, but I didn't see who he was or if it was anybody. Yeah. He's like the old captain. He's like the guy.
Yes,
like, he set sail, and the guy, he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, no, it's fine. Go. Yes.
Don't whip them. What?
Right?
That was a time they loved their whipping.
Oh, Karina is French. I just looked it up.
French, all right. So not Swiss.
That doesn't sound French to me.
He goes raised and educated in Spain, Switzerland, and Peru.
Well, that explains how her accent is everything.
Yeah.
I think she is part Native American too. So I was like, okay, so her and Lightfoot have a thing going on there. They could be by blood related, but they don't.
Polynesian.
All right, maybe I'm totally wrong.
That's in there. That's something.
Yeah, she's not. Swiss Russian heir to the Geneva baking dynasty.
Oh my God, the Geneva baking dynasty?
Oh, she is.
I've been to their convention.
Oh, she is. She's she's Lakota. She is Lakota.
All right.
Is there anything she's not? Can you just tell me what she isn't?
So she speaks 6 languages and this is.
Is she a model? I feel like she was some one of those.
She's the Queen of Sheba.
Yeah, where they were like, well, she can't really talk. We can't do this. And they were like, no, it's fine. It's just whatever.
Yeah, she does strike you as the one oh, she's famous in this place. Like when you see an actress in one of our movies doesn't speak our language, you're like, oh no, but when they put it out there, she's the draw. But I don't think she has that from any area. But maybe they're just she's from fucking everywhere. Everyone loves her.
If we're gonna do the research, she might have been on the come up then. When was the L word? That's later. She might have been in. She was in the 4400. She's in some movies.
I like the 4400. I've seen every episode. I don't remember who the fuck she is.
She was in 17 of them. But no, she may have been on the come up, and she might have had, I don't know, she has connections to some international smuggling ring. I don't know what it was. Something.
She lived where they filmed this?
Yeah, she just kept showing up on set, and they were like, okay, fine. No, this is something happened there. Producer was like, she's the one.
She's done so much, too.
Yeah.
She's still working, like Stefan said, a couple years ago. She did a thing.
It's impressive. Especially after you see it.
But yes.
This director, this was his last movie, and I wanted to be like, of course, you end on the top, but he died like right after this. So he may have been done with everything.
I was gonna say, once you've achieved perfection, you don't try again. Oh no,
last on his list. Yeah.
Damn.
What did he die from?
Old age, I think. He was born in 45.
By Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah,
with an axe.
He saw the movie in the editing room and was like,
is that guitar?
Oh, you're ruining my movie.
It's a period piece, and just falls down.
Okay.
I like the guitar though. When you're like,
that's a good segue.
A schlocky action movie, I think that's the way to go. Like, don't try to play up, like, oh, we have minstrels and crap. Like, nah, this is great. Whenever there's an action sequence, let's get that guitar raging in.
Yeah, this is a very different tone from A Knight's Tale, but I had the same reaction to that movie where I'm like, yeah, screw it. We're not doing real accurate historical stuff here. So yeah, when he like turns to the other guy and like says his one line and goes and like hits the like things, I'm like, this is perfect.
You can't have her.
This is completely what I want. This is fine.
It actually, I feel like it made it more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, because that's all you have is you have to make a fun movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going for awards here. Like, we're kind of going for that fun experience. Like, this does feel like a TV movie or directly to DVD movie. It doesn't really have that feel, but it, like, in certain aspects it does shine. Like, there's a lot of extras. There's like good sets. It's just that like the actual plot and what the people are doing is not fantastic. But some of like the visuals look fun. Like right before it turns to cringy CG, Tia Carrere's like monster demon looking character is pretty fun. That sea monster they pull up for like that 1 second shot, I'm like, well, that's one of your best practical effects in the movie. I'm glad you only saw it for 4 seconds.
Yeah, I have a line in my notes like, meanwhile, on Kull's ship, they are cutting open a sea monster and making the whatever lady barf. Like, okay, cool. This is good.
My biggest pet peeve is barfing in movies. It's always one spit. I'm like, give them something. Make
them barf.
It's very easy to have someone turn away from the screen holding a balloon and just unload water. You get a good amount of spill, it makes a splash, and you don't have to show it. You're not seeing it anyway. Her hair dangles right over it. Add the sound in post. Film it from a different angle. Why even film it at all if it's going to look bad?
The first time she threw up, I think she had something in her mouth.
Can I do anything for you?
I'm fine.
No, both times she had something in her mouth, but it's that one mouthful of oatmeal where it's just like, why even do it?
I had to do that before. It's hard to make it look
No, it's never on the actor. This is completely on the person filming it. You can make these things look good. Like, if let's say perchance if I want to do it, you could do this like how an American would film a kung fu movie, and I could cut to multiple angles as you spit multiple times, or I could give you a rig, or I could just turn so you can't see and I just add the sound of you vomiting. I don't need to watch you spit one bite of oatmeal out. It doesn't do anything for me.
So I've had to do that before. I did it recently too in a movie, and I had to put the dry oatmeal in my mouth and then drink a sip of water and just slush it around.
Wait, is it really oatmeal? I thought you were making a joke. Like,
no, it's almost always oatmeal.
This bitch has a mouthful of oatmeal over here.
And like, I did it a few ways, but like I had to figure out how to throw it up properly so it wasn't like one chunk.
Just falls
I
out
think
of your
about that
mouth.
stuff too. I'm like, I want to make this look good. So like, I probably did it like 10 times, and it was just gross.
You were just hungry. You're just like, I just love oatmeal. What can I say?
A can of stew and open the can halfway. it will go, oh, and it'll all come out, and it looks like vomit. These are things, it costs them $2.99. Just do it. Just movies. Back to Kull. I love the end when he's given that proclamation as he breaks the 10 Commandments thing.
All slaves of Illusia are now free.
And everyone's like, yay, no more slaves, this and that. It is a wedding coronation. It would only be rich people. Everyone there would be like, what the fuck? Like, there are no slaves in there. And maybe there are 3 or 4 serving, but the whole audience erupts in like cheering and loving it. And that just seems not how it would happen. Maybe if he was having his wedding out in the open.
Yeah, I think that's the entire kingdom are those 35 people.
Yeah.
Like, every time we see them at everything, the funeral, the wedding, the intro, that's always just, that's everybody. That's the whole thing. That's all we have.
I'm sure I saw some people that had already died at this point.
Long live the king!
Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live
Whatever, just fucking put them.
Well, they didn't film it in order. What do you want to remember who's alive? This
can't keep track of these things. What do you need, a clipboard? It's crazy. Yeah, I knew that he was gonna smash that stuff. I don't know if I called it or if I remembered it, but the minute someone says, "Oh, the stones are the laws, we need the thing." That guy, by the way, I can't think of a funny description. He is from, he's from Beetlejuice. I remember him and 100 other things. He's
just the law.
The law is greater than any king. And as royal eunuch, I am sworn to protect it.
Great character.
Roy
actor.
Brocksmith.
Roy Brock. Yeah, I did.
He's got a great look.
Yeah, I did not know his name, but he has a very distinct look. And when he showed up, I'm like, oh, Harvey Fierstein is looking really bad these days. What's going on with him? So I thought, like, yeah, he'd probably play that role in the movie. But no, it was another character actor guy. So there you go.
I love he wears his little crown thing more than we ever see Kull wear his crown. The crown looks so goofy that you can't imagine him wearing it.
Like an oval thing, right?
But it's like tall. It's like the Pope's crown.
It's like an Egyptian weird, like it's like a cone for around like a dog's neck, but like over on top of your head.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what it is.
And there's so many opportunities for Kevin Sorbo to put it on. He just never does. He's like, I'm not putting this thing on. This is crazy.
No, well, why would you? The thing I forgot to mention in my previous argument about Kull just being the plot armor guy here when he walks in and like kills the king's like, Kull, like he knows his name, and
he crawls over this guy.
It's mine. And I'll give it to you, Kull. Here, take it.
I'm like, how would he know his name?
He went low. He stabbed up. He's the man. Here you go.
He's clearly your king. Oh, what a goofy movie. So it is definitely reminiscent of the time. It is something that you could watch and you're like, oh yes, I know exactly what I'm getting into. Like, it does feel exactly like any of the Hercules made for TV movies, which there were like 3 or 4 during that whole run. I think most of them before the show even came out. But like, it has that vibe where you're like, I know what I'm getting into. And if you liked Hercules, this is something you're going to like.
I mean, just from it saying like Kevin Sorbo is it like
Yeah. I feel that every time I watch any movie and I see Kevin Sorbo, like, because you watch, you're like, okay, I can tell it's a B movie, and usually the first shot is like some random whatever thing happening, and then like starring Kevin Sorbo, and I'm like,
when the narration started, because I didn't think of this, I thought this was that movie where they throw the weird star-shaped thing to kill the wizard guy.
Krull.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so I thought, oh, we're going back to the classics. That makes sense. Word. And then Kevin Sorbo starts talking. Like, what's that? What is this? How old is Kevin? I'm like Googling, what year is this?
Yeah. Have you seen that movie though, right?
Of course.
A while ago, yeah.
That I could watch over and over again.
Yeah, that's a classic. So I thought this was going to be like, oh, this will be so easy. We'll just say, oh, it's good. I don't know. Yeah. And then Kevin Sorbo starts in. Yeah.
No, always a treat, but yeah, you know what you're getting into. trying to think if there's any movie with Kevin Sorbo that I'm like, oh yes, top tier. This is the best. They're all kind of this tier, yeah. But I like this tier, so like it's fine. Walking.
No, I have to be in the mood. I have to kind of be in the mood to watch movies like this.
This is like my baseline, and every once in a while I'm like I'm in the mood to watch something good, and then I'll watch like something that had a budget or won an award.
This is what gets you in the mood right here.
Well, I think too, like I've been in movies like this, so it's like I have to, as like someone who's experienced behind behind the set, I kind of get it.
What does that mean? Yeah, like can you
elaborate.
Can you tell when you're making a movie like this?
Yeah, like
you show up the first day and go, oh.
Yeah, you get the script and you're like, I fucking already say that like 4 times. And they're like, look, the producers say that you have to say it. Okay. And then you have to go to ADR, and then in ADR they add more stuff because they want to spoon feed the audience. And you're like, okay. And then you're basically just doing what you can. Like I'm Shakespearean trained actor, like very classically trained. So it's like you get something like this and you're just like, I'm gonna make the most of this.
You're like, the third time, can I say erupt instead of explode at least? They're like, no, you have to say explode. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, or like at the end, or like, hey, the guy says this, can we do this? Because this makes more sense. And then try to get everyone on board for it, just so like you as an actor can feel fulfilled with something.
I did a small good thing today. I changed the course of history.
I think like sometimes leaning into those bad things and repeating lines can make your bad movie great, though, because it's like, oh, now my movie is a drinking game. Like every time you say this, like like we did a movie once, and we're finished filming a scene, and I lean to the writer and I say one of the lines as like a joke, and it was, keep me updated if there's any more updates. And he's like he's like, wait a minute, is that in there? And I'm like, yes, he just said that. That's the script.
He just said it 17 times. We all rolled our eyes after the first time. What are you talking about? And he's like, no.
I love that line though, because it's so good.
Thank you, officer. Keep me updated if there are any more updates.
Yes, sir.
Like sometimes those are the most memorable lines. Like the thing like, it's your catchphrase.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Did you catch a lot of that for this though? I thought like from a scripting dialogue perspective, it was kind of okay. A lot of my issues with
I think it's just the ending. Delivery.
Okay, yeah.
I would agree that most things here are just it's not necessarily what's being said, it's how it's being said or who is saying it.
Like it's not usually funny, but there's the part where he's like, "You slave, you're free. Go home," and he goes, "I live here. Like I can't go home." There's that whole sequence.
You go home.
I am, Your Majesty. I was born here in the palace.
Oh. Well.
But like I'm like, that feels so out of place in this movie. There's no other like humor like that.
There's a couple of moments like that he does. He's like,
yeah, but it's really weird. That's him being Hercules. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the guy with the slave was like, I don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah. What do you mean? And the other guy is like, okay, I'll go. And then you can watch him in the background of the shot. He walks all the way through, goes through some people, gets to the exit finally, and the guards are like, no, you can't go. It's just like, oh, it's great.
The only time they stopped anyone successfully was that guy under orders to go home.
You're free.
Go! Free Volusians have a right to own slaves under the law.
Was that
anyone
weird hippie
taking
guy?
An attempt on the king's life, or breaking in, those guys go right in.
Absolutely.
They know their place. It's important to pick your battles when you're a nameless, faceless henchman. You don't want to pick a battle with a guy that has, that guy has a sword and a name. Let me not fight with that guy. Let's fight with this guy who's just like, what is he in? Rags? Yeah, that's my choice. I did read a thing, speaking of weapons, that Kevin Sorbo, on his request, used a rubber sword because when he used the dull metal sword, he cut himself.
Well, his skin's made of paper. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Isn't that hysterical?
Was it really awkward when he threw that axe in the beginning?
Yeah. It was very awkward. It doesn't make any, because it's not like he threw it into the sea. Moments later, he's like
And but like even how he threw it was just so awkward anyway. It was like it was too heavy.
It looked like when a person throws like not a discus, like what is that like chain with the ball? Like that's like that's like the thing I mentally went to. I'm like, all right, there he goes.
Yeah, because he kind of does like a spin maneuver and throws it. There's a point where the other guy has it and he kind of spins it in his hand and is like, this is not the weapon for a real, man, you gotta use a sword, right? And you can see like screws and weird like painted or cardboard or something. It looks so cheap. It's very funny. So I have no idea what that is.
I wanted, and he does do this, but it's a little later. Like you finally get the axe back, and like when he fights, he's obviously super boss because I'm trained with an axe. I'm not trained with this, child sword thing. But when he sees the barbarian frozen dude have the axe, I wanted the tides to turn right there. I wanted to be like, oh, he grabs the axe and bests all these people. I didn't want, oh, he gets trapped because like the wall collapses or whatever, and he makes the thing cry an avalanche of water that like I guess bursts him free and doesn't just drown him, because they don't show any of that. It just
leads back up to the surface somehow. Yes, that's just the ocean, and he's like, okay, I'll just swim up. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, because I'm a little nerdy, and I play Dungeons and Dragons. So as I was like watching this, and the Barbarian is like one of my favorite characters to play, and I was like really disappointed because like I expect a Barbarian to just be a fucking tank. Sorry.
Sure.
Just to be a tank, and like that just wasn't. That wasn't really the case. I feel like that was always the case with Arnold. He was like that.
Yeah. Well, because
Um,
he's much bigger than Kevin. Like not to say Kevin's puny again, but like you can't get that like oh yes, he just Hulk rages this guy out of play or can out muscle someone when he doesn't have the class.
camera angles, honestly.
They don't help.
No one ever breaks a pot over his head and then he just turns like he doesn't care. It never happens.
He gets the like the only lasting injury in the movie when when what's her name, Zarita, just goes to turn him around. He's like, ah, he gets cut.
His
and I'm like,
fingernail,
No! You mustn't! Your plaything is jealous, husband.
It's nothing.
I'm like, he's so fragile. Like to believe him to be this tough, barbarian king. I don't know.
I liked at the end because he's doing some axe work. He kind of like takes the sword and like twists the axe and like disarms the guy. It's like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, there's not really this like arc of like, okay, I've been trying it your way, and now I'm gonna go back to my barbarian roots. By this axe I rule, and I've reclaimed my whole. It's very like it just happens.
Yeah.
You're still a barbarian, Kull.
Just has an axe again.
Yeah, I think Kevin Sorbo is just too he drinks like martinis and has like a pink robe at home.
That comes through.
Yeah, I think that it definitely shines.
Well, yeah,
Nice.
definitely isn't the guy I'm doing my own stunts guy. Like that's not him. And not that I need that. I'm not gonna say like that. Like this is why it's bad because he's not a manly man. Like I don't care about that. I want to he should shine through. The acting should make me think the character is at least a badass. Like if The Rock goes home and has a little spot of tea, I don't care because on screen that guy looks like he could destroy a building with his bare hands. I don't get that from Kull.
Probably could.
Now you tell me.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. If you were betting, I'd be like, nah, smart money's on The Rock.
I haven't seen Rampage, but I assume that's what happens in it. The Rock climbs the building and punches it, eats people. Yeah.
I just definitely feel like Kevin Sorbo is always just Kevin Sorbo on screen, so there just wasn't.
Yeah, for sure. And in this one, like even more so in his wheelhouse, you're like, yes, he just did 7 seasons of this exact character. I think he can do it. But it's like they didn't tailor the script enough from whatever their original intention was to bring it back down to what it is. Because I'm sure you dropped millions off of your budget once you don't have Arnold attached, and they maybe wanted to be a little less ambitious with how many locations they had and how many every 10 minutes something new is happening.
I have altered our pact. Pray I do not alter it further.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and like it feels like a Hercules movie, which is why I like it, but that is also a strike against it because those movies, while they are enjoyable, are not like at like now I'm like, oh yeah, this wasn't a Hercules movie. This was supposed to be a like distinct thing, but there's very little where you even go like, oh, well this is a different character, guys. Remember, obviously he would act differently. Like there's no opportunity for that, or he just acts the same as Hercules.
I was just hoping he would scream like disappointed.
Yeah, very disappointed here.
Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed!
I would have loved this to be a Sam Raimi movie, and I think then you could have really employed a lot of this, like, okay, we can fake this, we can make this, we can do this, working the best with what you have. While this is not that, like nothing against John here, but he's not known for this type of movie. I think the most things he did was like these like urban kung fu style movies. He did like 4 of those, I think, but like he's mostly a TV guy, and.
God,
right, they didn't have the artillery.
Made it a really good movie, honestly.
Oh yeah, it would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
What never will be, because they're not making this again. Although, like, the Kull property, like, people do like their barbarians. It is like, this wasn't invented for this. He is a character, pre-existing. The same dude that made Conan did make this character. So like, there's a lot of things going there for it. They could, in 20 years make another one of these type of movies. I don't know if Kev would be up for it any longer, nor would they want him, but
unless he's the old king
right now,
I think he's a lot blacklisted. Yeah. And I do feel bad. Like I do, in my opinion, I don't like the idea that things are necessarily tied together. I would like to say you could have whatever opinions you want and your acting should be its own thing, but I think it's because of the level he was at. Like if you got like Mel Gibson per se can be in these big movies and no one's like, oh, but he's anti-Semite. They're like, well, he's pretty good.
Well, like Chris Pratt or various other, there's various other very famous people that get away with having. I'm not sure exactly what Kevin Sorbo did to be blacklisted per se. I know his deal. I know what he's about these days. But yes, I don't know what exact thing it was.
Yeah, he came out pretty openly like QAnon.
Yeah, he's a big Trumpy supporter, and
Yeah.
I think that today is enough, honestly.
I feel like you can have those opinions, but I feel like once it starts being like really toxic, people don't want to work with you.
Sure. And when it's almost all your tweets, it's a little much.
Well, I think he still makes 10 movies a year that are all like Jesus something or whatever.
He does make a good amount of movies, yeah.
It's very disappointing.
Sadly, a lot of them are religious films.
I'm such a fan of Hercules. It's very sad to see this happen to these people.
That's a whole niche on itself. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel sad now. I'm just thinking about Kevin Sorbo at home just tweeting.
Yeah. You never know though. Someone could they could turn around and you could come out of the fire. No. We've seen it happen with actors before. He's getting a little older to be doing these type of roles anymore, but he still does an action one every now and again. He's in those like Mystica series, but now he plays like the wizardy guy instead of the barbarian type guy, which that's evolving with the times, I suppose.
Oh, and he could be Kull if he was the old king who dies and then crawls across the floor and tells the new person, "It's you." Gives him that would work.
That guy was I think like a stuntman his whole life, and I think this is his like first role where he got to talk. I think he's Arnold's stuntman. I don't know. I did not follow that man's career.
Okay,
but he has a look to him, and I'm
he
like,
seemed fine.
Like, okay, I believe him as like a drunk king that would kill people. So
there's a lot of demand for that type of part.
Once every 2 years, there's a movie. So like, what are the in spoilers thoughts on this? Who do you think this movie is for? If you were going to recommend this movie or not recommend this movie?
I think this movie is for someone who's like a girl or a guy who is just really into these type of fantasy movies, who just wants to see something that's a little bit different, I guess.
I was hoping you would stop there. Who wants to see something? Their brain is so exhausted. They can't possibly tolerate a plot with things they have to pay attention to. They just want something. They don't even need the volume on. They're going to be vacuuming anyway. They're not really paying attention. They just want to look up occasionally and see a glistening Kevin Sorbo and maybe a Tia Carrere. We'll see how it goes.
I thought you were gonna say, you know, a guy or a girl who's into Tia Carrere or Kevin Sorbo, like just that, just
very very blanket,
just wearing like metal underpants or like loincloths or whatever.
Experience to watch too, because the script isn't necessarily. There's some great points that it gets to, I think, and I think with the is it Tia?
Tia.
Yeah, I really liked her in the entire movie.
Sure.
So I feel like this is like this was a really great opportunity for a woman such as her, like a person of color, to have like a really cool, fun villain character.
Sure.
But I think also this is a lesson of like there are certain actors in this community who obviously have a niche, and then that's it.
Yeah.
They've got their one thing that they do.
As you mentioned, like this is pretty groundbreaking-esque for a theatrical movie of this time to have 3 of its leads be minorities.
Who is it?
Who else?
Like that's actually pretty big. You don't really have a lot of that in a movie that's not like, especially in a fantasy movie, you know, always been just white dudes, and like you're like, okay, this is nice, this is refreshing. And I like Tia Carrere, I love her. Relic Hunter was this like great show that she was on. She's a star, she's a good guy.
You must be Nigel.
And that came out after this, so this didn't derail her career or anything like that. Obviously, Wayne's World, awesome. You know, she's always been that like, you know, tough, awesome chick.
I love you, Wayne.
I love you, Cassandra.
So yeah, to see her as this demonisk girl was fun.
She was like noticed in a mall.
Oh yeah. Got a little
like
more malls.
I noticed her in Hawaii in a mall, and like that's how she got a role in this movie. That her first movie.
That's how she got started.
Yeah.
I'd give her a role.
She's actually really good for not having like too much training or anything like that. So that's why I think I really appreciate it. Especially she's like Asian Pacific Islander, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean I think I know her from Wayne's World the most of all, where she's in that one. But yes.
But a lot of fun cast of little characters here. So like it is a fun watch, and it's one of the ones, especially in a group. Like I often put the caveat of like, this is a great group watch movie because it's not epic, it's not something, but also you would not be wasting your time watching this alone. While some movies I can't in good conscience recommend, this is one that I think you can have fun with. This is a fun movie for a group watch. So aside from just the, oh, look at all those people. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, this guy. There's fun bits. If you're a Kevin Sorbo fan, a Hercules fan, etc., this is something up your alley. And just the fact that it is a notch above the usual thing that we go for, I'd say like most people that watch us can definitely can definitely tolerate and enjoy this.
No, that last bit is critical. We should clarify that this is like a lower budget real movie as opposed to like a interesting, like not a real movie, like fake bad movie, right? Where it's like doesn't make sense at all. This is actually like an actual thing. But no, I think you know who you are if you want to see this. If you're like, wow, there's a Hercules movie by a different name, that's awesome. And yeah, Eva, you've brought up some good things about Tia Carrere's thing. I'm trying to think because the ending disappoints me. I know that there's a lot of demon stuff happening and some moon faces.
Were you expecting the ending to be horrific?
No. But I'm not sure if they were implying that there was like a greater bad guy that was going to take over her body, or if she in fact is the greater bad guy, which I would have liked.
I thought they were implying that there was some other demon, but then there wasn't, and I don't know if that was just because they didn't have it. Was there?
Oh yeah, because she still speaks in the first. Sorry, go ahead, about.
Oh no, I was gonna say I think they were leaving it open for like a second one.
Optimism.
Well, you know, once it's like fully the demon, it speaks in the first person as her, basically says, give me a kiss, right? So it is just her.
Husband, come kiss your bride.
Yes.
So that is actually cool. I did not pick up on that, because normally in this, when you have a like dangerous female, there's some other creature or demon that's actually the big bad somewhere else, right? But this was just her whole thing, which is cool.
That give me a kiss thing was stupid. Why did it want a kiss in the first place? Just because it has to pay off because the cards say kiss will be your turn or whatever. Like
that's the stupid
so
ending.
Foolish.
That's the stupid bookend. Yeah.
Even when they got to the part where he's actually kissing it, like the thing's teeth were like it's like.
Husband, you're so cold. Cold.
Will be found within a kiss.
How did you even kiss it? It's all right.
And like, okay, so like I thought, oh, my kingdom's fate is all up to a kiss thing, would be him kissing what's her name to get the cold breath, right?
Sure, that would have been better, much better. Let's go with that.
And now he's like now he's Kevin Sorbet because he's frozen, and now he can fight.
Of icy mustache on the side.
Yes, he had little frosted mini wheats on the side of his little mustache. It was amazing. So I thought then like the axe turns like blue and glows, and now he can fight the demon with the power of cold breath. There's right, and that would have been like the whole thing. But then to have the demon be like, "Give us a smooch." It's already fire scene again. But yes, it comes back. I was like, no, not good. Too many kisses. What are we doing?
Do you think it ended and like they were like, we didn't film the ending part. All right, bring her back. She got a haircut. Fuck. All right. What do we have? A bob wig or some shit? There you go. Oh, it's got white stuff in it. Well, she was cold. That's what that would do. Like that whole like I was like, this is weird. Did it freeze her hair white?
She gets the Rogue from X-Men like skunk trail thing.
No. Don't kneel to me. I should kneel to you, my queen.
Right?
Exactly.
And because the bad guy has her hair, when she like dips down, the axe cuts some of it.
That's how a barbarian fights.
But then she just rolls with that and gets a whole new fly hairstyle in time for the end, which is so it's interesting.
Yeah, like a perfect like.
Yes. She gets a bob.
I didn't like it.
I think the bob was a wig.
Yeah, I think a lot of things were a wig.
She was bald at that point. Yeah.
All right, so that's our thoughts on Kull the Conqueror. Obviously, 2 thumbs up from everyone here. Fantastic film.
Enthusiastic thumbs up. Yes.
Ava, thank you for joining us. Tell the people where they can find you and future projects you might be doing.
So you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Eva Ceja. That's Eva Ceja, both on Instagram and Twitter. And hopefully you'll be able to see me on TV soon. I booked something for TV, but I can't say it yet. And then Aquarium of the Dead, which is coming out May 21st.
All right.
On Amazon Prime and Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, we predicted Sci-Fi Channel.
I think it's gonna air there, but we haven't totally confirmed, but pretty sure it's gonna be on.
It makes sense. It would fit right in there. We watched it. That's a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, when it comes out, definitely go check it out. And thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Any questions for us before we get started?
No, I think that's good.
All right.
And then she leaves.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion